Alex, people think the scary part of a house is the electrical. They're afraid of the spicy noodles in the walls. But for my money, it's the DWV system, the drain waste vent. It's the only part of your house that uses physics, chemistry, and a little bit of dark magic to keep your living room from smelling like a medieval trench.
Dark magic? I thought it was just water goes down, smell goes up. Is it really that mystical, or are you just trying to justify why you spent 4 hours staring at a crawl space last weekend?
I was staring because someone, definitely not me, let's say a previous owner, tried to vent a basement sink into a stud bay without actually, going through the roof. It was basically a fermented air freshener. But seriously, DWV is a beautiful, delicate balance. You've got the drain and waste, which is the stuff leaving, and the vent, which is the atmospheric pressure that makes the stuff move without sucking the water out of your traps.
Okay, let's start with the basics then. The D and the W. I assume waste is the heavy-duty stuff from the toilet, and drain is just the gray water from my morning coffee and the shower.
Precisely. And they're picky. If you're building a furniture piece and your joinery is off by an eighth of inch, maybe you can shim it. If your drain pipe doesn't have that perfect quarter-inch per foot slope, you're inviting a standing committee of gunk to live in your pipes. Too much slope is actually just as bad as too little.
Wait, how is too much slope a problem? Doesn't gravity just work harder?
That's the most common trap to fall into. If the pipe is too steep, the liquids go screaming down the line like a bobsled team, but they leave the solids behind. You need that gentle quarter inch so the water acts like a little conveyor belt, carrying everything out together. It's a group trip, not a race.
So that's the moving part. What about the V? Every time I see a house under construction, there's this forest of pipes sticking out the roof. Why does a sink need to breathe?
Think about pouring a soda out of a glass bottle. Glug, glug, glug. That's air fighting its way back in because a vacuum is forming. If your sink doesn't have a vent, it'll try to gulp air through the P-trap. It'll literally suck the water seal right out of that little U-shaped pipe under your cabinet. Once that seal's gone, you've got a direct highway for sewer gas to come say hello.
And I'm guessing sewer gas isn't exactly a Yankee Candle scent.
It's worse. It's methane, it's hydrogen sulfide, it's stuff you don't want to be breathing while you're brushing your teeth. That vent pipe, the V, goes up and out to the sky, so the pressure inside the pipe stays the same as the pressure in your bathroom. It lets the system inhale so the water can flow out smoothly.
I was reading through some of the Wisconsin design manuals and the uniform plumbing code you left on the desk. They kept talking about drainage fixture units, or DFUs. It sounds like a currency for a very boring board game.
It kind of is. Every fixture has a price in DFUs. A bathroom sink is usually 1 unit, a shower is 2. A toilet, that's the big spender at 3 or 4 units. You add those up to figure out how big your pipes need to be. You can't just run a whole mansion's worth of waste through a 2-inch pipe. It's like trying to thin the herd of buffalo through a revolving door.
So if I'm DIYing a bathroom remodel, I can't just eye it?
Not unless you want to spend your weekends with a snake and a bottle of extra strength aspirin. For example, if you're doing a wet vent, this is a trick pros use. You can actually use one pipe to be both the drain for one thing and the vent for another. Like your bathroom sink drain can actually act as the vent for your toilet.
Hold on. If the pipe is full of sink water, how is it also letting the toilet breathe?
That's where the math comes in. We oversize that pipe. It's never more than half full of water, so there's always a tunnel of air riding along the top of the water. It's a 2-lane highway where the bottom lane is liquid and the top lane is atmosphere. But you have to be careful. There are rules about how far that wet vent can travel before it's considered cluttered.
I saw a term in your notes, crown venting, and the way you'd underlined it 3 times suggests it's either a royal honor or a massive disaster.
It's a nightmare. A crown vent is when you put the vent connection right on the top of the trap. It seems logical, right? Air goes up. But what happens is, as the waste goes through, it splashes up into that vent and eventually clogs it with hair and soap scum. It's like trying to breathe through a snorkel full of oatmeal. Codes almost everywhere ban it now. You have to move that vent connection downstream a bit, away from the turbulent splash zone of the trap.
I'm starting to see why plumbers get paid the big bucks. It's not just wrenching, it's being a fluid dynamics engineer.
It really is. I remember one of my first big solo jobs. I was so proud of how clean my purple primer looked. I didn't have a single drip. I buttoned everything up, tested it, and the toilet made this sound like a drowning walrus every time I drained the bathtub.
A drowning walrus? What did you do wrong?
I'd created a S-trap instead of a P-trap, and I'd missed the vent by about 4 feet. The bathtub was essentially siphoning the toilet. Every time the tub emptied, the sheer volume of water created a vacuum that pulled the water right out of the toilet bowl. I had to rip out a whole wall of brand new tile to move a single T-fitting. That was the day I realized that good enough in plumbing usually ends in a sledgehammer.
Let's talk about fittings. Because if I go to the big box store, I see 40 different types of elbows. Why can't I just use whatever fits the hole?
Oh man, that's how you get the clog that ate Milwaukee. In a DWV system, you want long sweeps. Imagine you're driving a car at 60 miles an hour. Do you want to take a hairpin 90-degree turn or a nice banked curve?
I'd prefer not to flip my car, Tiger.
Exactly. The waist feels the same way. If you use a pressure fitting, the kind meant for water supply lines, the turn is too sharp. Solids hit that wall, lose momentum, and start a pileup. In drainage, you use sanitary tees and long sweep 90s. They have a built-in radius that keeps the stuff moving. And here's the kicker. You can use a sand tee when going from horizontal to vertical, but you can almost never use it going from vertical to horizontal.
Why is it a one-way street?
Because when water drops down into a horizontal line through a sharp T-junction, it bounces. It creates a hydraulic jump. That splash can actually shoot waste back up the vent or go the wrong way down the drain line. You need a Y and a 45-degree street L to ease the water into the flow. It's all about manners, Alex. You don't just jump into traffic, you use the on-ramp.
You're making me feel sorry for the sewage.
Respect the flow, and the flow will respect you.
Okay, what about these circuit vents? The diagram looks like a subway map for a city I don't want to visit.
Circuit venting is the heavy lifting of the plumbing world. If you've got a row of 8 sinks in a commercial building, you don't want to run 8 separate vent pipes through the roof. It'd look like a pipe organ on your shingles. Instead, you use a single vent at the end of the line that services the whole group.
Is that why my office bathroom always smells fine, but my guest bath at home can get a bit funky if I don't use it for a month?
Precisely. In your guest bath, the water in the trap eventually evaporates. Once the water's gone, the seal is broken. That's not a venting issue, that's just a lack of use issue. In a circuit vented system, as long as the bus of the main drain is sized correctly, that airspace at the top stays clear for all the fixtures. But if one of those sinks gets a massive clog, it can choke out the air for the whole line.
So, for the average person listening who's looking at a leaky sink or a slow drain, when do they need to stop and realize their V might be the problem, not just their D?
If you hear about a glug-glug sound from your sink after you flush the toilet, or if your shower drain starts bubbling when the washing machine is running, that is the house screaming for air. It means your vents are either clogged, maybe a bird built a nest in the roof pipe, or it's frozen over with ice, or they were never installed right to begin with.
So don't just pour more Drano down it.
Please, for the love of all that is holy, stay away from the chemical bombs. They just chew up your pipes and don't do a lick of good for an air pressure problem. If your vent is the issue, Drano is like trying to fix a flat tire by cleaning the windshield.
It's amazing how much engineering is hidden behind the drywall. We focus so much on the pretty stuff, the faucets, the tile, but this is the backbone.
It really is the unsung hero. A good DWV system should be like a good stage crew. If they're doing their job perfectly, you never even know they're there. The moment you start noticing your plumbing, someone made a mistake in the math.
What's the one thing you want people to take away from this, besides avoid the drowning walrus sound?
It's that your house is a living, breathing thing. Every time you turn on a tap, there's this incredible symphony of pressure and gravity happening inside your walls. If you're going to mess with it, respect the codes. They aren't there to be annoying. They're there because someone, somewhere, once had a very, very bad Tuesday, and the city council decided they didn't want that to happen again.
Lessons learned the hard way so we don't have to. That should be the Tiger Den motto.
I think I've already paid the tuition for most of those lessons. Now I'm just trying to make sure nobody else has to sit in the same classroom.
Thanks for the masterclass, Tiger. I'm going home to check my roof for bird nests now.
Good luck. And Alex, keep your level handy. A quarter inch is longer than you think when you're staring at a 10-foot run.